Men are being arrested for remaining single. Men are being arrested for remaining single, guys. So, they're coming for us. They're coming for us. Today's video comes from South China Morning Post, and we also have another video from China Observer. Both channels will be linked in the description. And basically, countries are beginning to collapse right now. Society is beginning to collapse, just like the Roman Empire. We're accelerating very quickly to that point. Watch in this video to fully understand the implications of why unmarried single men are now being targeted for marriage and punished if they do not comply, and what this is going to do to society and how it's going to affect men and women going forward. Now let's just go ahead and jump right into the first video.
Chinese authorities have come up with a new proposal to address the country's shrinking and aging population. Officials have proposed a policy change that would make it easier to get married and harder to get divorced.
So basically, what they're saying here is that, right now, the number of young people in China is dramatically falling. The pension system in China, which is is in short supply already, is continuing to be burdened. There are stories now, many stories of people going to the banks in China and being handed fake money. This is insane. And it's not just happening to normal people, it's also happening to businesses, companies, where the Chinese will put like one fake bill on the top and then all the other bills are fake. They'll put one real bill on the top and all the other bills are fake. So someone goes to the bank and they know and they know what they're doing, obviously. This is crazy. Our banks shutting down and stealing everyone's money. This is madness what's going on in China. China does not have money. China's in extremely bad shape, and it's only going to get worse. Only going to get worse. Now, what's happening here is that people in China are finding themselves. The Chinese government is finding that they don't have enough people to sustain society. They have a large growing elderly population. Come 2035, we're almost in 2025. Come 2035, for every one elderly person, there will be 2.4 laborers, people that can work. Now, keep in mind, some will go, well, that's not terrible. For every one old person, you'll have two and almost 2.5 people who are still able to work. Yeah, guys. And then in 2050 is only 25 years from now. It'll almost be 1 for 1. So in other words, for every one elderly person, you'll have one person that is still able to labor. The idiots among us will say that it doesn't matter. We're going to have artificial intelligence and AI and robots to do all of the work for us. This is stupidity. This is absolute stupidity. Even guys like Elon that are pushing this type of narrative have lost their damn minds. Machines are not going to completely replace human beings anytime soon. I hear Mark Cuban pushing the narrative that like all the jobs are just going to be gone. And when is this going to happen? They can't give us an answer. It's a stupid narrative, a very stupid narrative. Oh, the AI and machines are going to completely replace, are going to replace, they're going to replace electricians. They're going to replace plumbers. They're going to replace, they're going to replace everything. They're going to replace people who do infrastructure. They're going to replace they're going to replace, emergency service workers. So paramedics, we're not going to need paramedics anymore. Those are, frontline workers. They're going to replace these people are insane. They're out of their damn minds. If we're looking towards a future where machines could do all of these things, maybe 200 years, I'd say 200 to 500 years, and we would have to have machines that are literally capable of, essentially almost having conscious thought. Like we would have to have machines that would have to have borderline conscious thought to do these things. Now, technology changes very, very quickly, and could we see advancements in a much shorter period of time? Sure, but right now we are nowhere near there, and we don't have the world. We do not live in a world yet that is capable of being run entirely by machines. Society has to change and adapt to machines more than machines have to change and adapt to society. Okay? So it's a load of nonsense. But now you have the scheme in China where they're now pushing to ensure that more men who are more men and women can no longer divorce. So basically, to they want men to engage in these relationships because the state cannot afford to subsidize the living of women anymore. So they want men to sacrifice themselves to provide for the women in the state, and they want to make divorce much more difficult to trap men in these miserable marriages.
Under current regulations, couples wanting to marry must provide their ID cards and household registration booklet, or hukou. For many young Chinese, those registration booklets are kept by their parents. That means couples might need to inform or seek approval from their parents to get married. The current regulations also require them to register their marriage in a province where at least one of them is an official resident. But if the amendment passes, couples will only need to provide their ID cards and can register their marriage anywhere in the country. While this will make it easier for couples to marry, another proposed amendment would make it harder for them to divorce. Couples seeking the dissolution of their marriage would have to wait for a 30-day cooling-off period to pass before their case could proceed. Within that time frame, either party would be able to withdraw their divorce application.
So this is a level of insanity. If I'm under, and I'm pretty, it sounds like I'm understanding this correctly. So if you try to get a divorce, there's going to have to be a 30-day cooling off period before the application can be processed. And then to make matters even worse, either party can withdraw the application. So for example, if if a man is married to a woman and he wants to divorce her, she can indefinitely keep withdrawing the divorce application and deny him a divorce indefinitely. So men would be trapped in these horrid marriages. And previously, because like even in the United States, you have to provide your social security. There's an entire process that you have to engage in to get married. You don't just walk into a courthouse and say you're married. Okay. You actually have to provide a proper identification. I forget if it's, I don't forget if it's like if a birth certificate or a passport, probably a passport, but you're not getting married with just an ID. In China, this is the new scheme where they'll just let you get married with an ID, a general ID, but it's going to be much harder to get a divorce. And this is being done because China can no longer support itself. You have Gen Z in the country with the whole lay flat thing where they're like, lay flat, do not contribute to society, do not participate in society. So and things are bad. Things are really, really bad over there right now. And then, of course, you have the gold diggers economy, which is similar to the United States, where these women are demanding massive dowries to marry a 40-year-old woman. This is crazy.
China's younger generation is showing less interest in getting married. According to official data, around 3.4 million couples got married in the first half of 2024. That figure is down 12% from a year ago and is the lowest in a decade.
尤其中国的结婚率的下降是一个非常的问题。
He says that the fast declining marriage is a big problem in China.
中国目前
The current number of marriages is lower than half of that in 2013.
这个今年的结婚数应该是不到2013年的1倍，尤其是
The drop is more significant for young couples aged between 20 and 29.
是20岁到29岁的这个今年的结婚数下降的非常快。
The biggest hindrance for marriage is that the youth unemployment rate is very high.
目前最大的一个问题是青年失业率很高，因为
Young people can't even find a job.
因为青年他连找工作都找不到工作根本没有能力，没有
If they can't find a job, they can't afford to get married and have children.
能力来这个结婚来生育，所以这些。
So rather than making minor adjustments on marriage registration,
比中国在这个结婚方面做一点小。
it would be better to tackle the problem of unemployment, but it is also more difficult.
小动作应该效果更好，但是难度也更大。
China is facing a shrinking and rapidly aging population. The number of births plunged to a record low of 9 million in 2023, according to China's National Bureau of Statistics. For Nancy, a young Beijing mother who works in e-commerce, managing work and childcare is a huge undertaking.
其实也是很多人，包括我自己吧，前期不太愿意生小孩的一个原因。
So Nancy, she says managing work and childcare is a huge undertaking. And just so you guys know, the reason why I'm reading it to you is because there's some parts of the video that are not dubbed. They're not dubbed into English, or they don't have an English voiceover. And there are people who listen to my videos. I just remember that there are people who listen to my videos while they're at work, while they're just working out or something. So they're not able to hear what's going on, because not everyone's watching the video. Some people are listening to the videos as well. So some of you are like, well, why? You don't have to read it, Angry. We can read it ourselves. Yeah, but there are some people who, for example, have YouTube Premium. And with many of you guys don't even know how YouTube Premium works, because you'll never pay for it. But you're able to watch videos while you're able to watch and listen to these videos while the screen is locked. So there are people who watch and listen to these videos while the screen is locked, and if they're just hearing a Chinese dub, they're hearing a Chinese voice, they don't know what's being said.
其实也是很
The reason why many people, including me, this is Nancy speaking,
多人，包括我自己吧，前期不太
do not want to give birth is that the housing price in good school districts has become too high in recent years.
太愿意生小孩的一个原因吧，因为这几年学区房价格实在太高了。
Some experts say this problem can also in part be blamed for China's low birth rate.
还有一个产假，中国目前这个产假也很不友好。
The maternity leave system in China is another. It is not friendly to employees.
所以从
Youth employment, maternity leave, and admission to kindergarten.
学的产假，从幼儿园的这个入透，这个短
These issues should be addressed first.
板要先补，但是
But they are just among a bundle of hindrances.
自补这些短不够的，要
It is only possible to increase the birth rate after all these obstacles are cleared.
一一的补齐，才能够提高生育率。
Local governments in China have been rolling out incentives to encourage more births. Some cities began handing out cash rewards for successful births in 2023.
So this is a very, very dangerous game that China is playing. For example, doing things like handing out cash rewards for successful births is foolish, because we know that there was a time where they had the one-child policy in China, and you literally had people Control-Alt-Deleting extra children. So for example, a woman might get pregnant with a child, and it turns out that, for a long time, boys were preferred in China, and they would get pregnant with a child, and if it was a girl and they were fortunate, they would end up in an orphanage. If they were not, and if they did not end up in an orphanage, well, they would make a return to Jesus, to put it simple. That happened in China. So there's a lot of darkness that has happened there related to childbirth, and saying that, okay, well, we'll incentivize people to have children by giving them cash rewards. If they give them reasonable cash rewards to have children, as soon as the child is born, okay, we collect our cash reward, but now you're stuck with the child, and you're going to have to take care of that child. That child is going to cost you significant amounts of money, right? Wrong. Because these people will do one of two things. If they are not able to give the child up for adoption, and some of them won't even bother with that, then again, that child will make a return to Jesus. This is a very, very foolish thing. A lot of what's happened in these countries, in these westernized countries, is because of the way they treat men. Okay, they put women on a pedestal, they put men under society, and now men are walking away. And now they're trying to find every possible way to force men to subsidize the living of women. That's how the Roman Empire went down to hell. Okay, they put women in positions of power. They instituted no-fault divorce. Within 100 years, the empire had basically fallen apart, and the children of Chad and Tyrone were running wild. All of the money in the empire had been used to subsidize the living of women. Men walked away the empire tried to punish men by making men, run in the streets, banning them from going to the Colosseum, participating in any public events. Think about this. This went on for over 100 years. All right. They shamed men in society, unmarried men. Men stopped doing it, and they ultimately had no military. They had no value being produced in the empire. Women began holding pretty much almost every position of power, and eventually the empire was pillaged by barbarians who realized that the emperor had no clothes. And I'll probably make a more thorough video at some point. I made a documentary years ago. It was a documentary that basically went over everything really, really well. But I've done this in other videos where I've explained the basic gist of it. And that's where we're headed right now, where women are occupying in many of these countries extraordinary positions of power, have extraordinary amounts of influence. They chastise men for even existing. They make extreme demands that the average man could never meet, and then they call it love. And men are basically standing up and just walking away or going their own way, and the state has no recourse for this. And then the youngest generation, the youngest working generation, Gen Z, they've basically given up on society. They've given up on society. Many of them are becoming a nuisance to society. And in a country where they'll arrest you for just about anything, Gen Z is basically like they've they've lost hope. So they have no hope. They say lay flat, do not participate in society, do not have children, do not do nothing. I've warned plenty of times, even the police officers, that are known to control society, they're running into trouble, because when you have 1 million people who are flipping out and going absolutely ballistic, how many police officers is it going to take to control those people? And if you start control alt deleting your people, you're losing potential workers. You're losing the ability to provide for yourself, provide for your country. You're losing power. If the people begin to turn against you, the only way that you can keep the charade going, the only way that you can keep the tyranny going, is if if you're able to control enough people. But if the vast majority of people refuse to participate in society, you're done. If people don't even want to work as enforcers, you're done. Okay? And this is where things are headed right now in China. People are going to the bank and they're coming out of the bank being robbed by the banks because China does not have money. This is guys. They fake everything in China. The food is fake. It's crazy. I wouldn't like going back to China. Hell no, hell no, hell no. It's a crazy thing.
Girls, do you know what it's like to be 36, unmarried, and without a boyfriend? It's not the independent, clear-headed heroine you might imagine. In reality, I'm afraid of dating, afraid of relationships, and I can't even think about marriage. It's not because I'm not trying or that I'm not good enough. I have a master's degree, started a business, and bought a house. But when it comes to marriage, I feel weak. I've gone on many blind dates, and just the thought of being judged for my age makes me not want to go out again. If I meet someone I like and we get along well, if I show any temper, they'll say, "You're not young anymore. If you still don't understand things and need me to coax you, why am I with you?" Because of my age, many things become intolerable. So maybe love is something for the younger years, and if possible, it's best to enter marriage when you're young. The TikTok user Rice Kernel is a woman from Hangzhou. On June 15th, she posted a video expressing regret for not getting married in her 20s. Previously, she posted a video complaining that even with a master's degree, it wasn't until she was 28 that she realized that standing, older single men wouldn't be interested in her. Now, the ones pursuing her are single men from rural areas, and she feels she can only marry into the countryside.
Now, this is where things get crazy. It's the same parallel in the United States, where these women seem to believe that their credentials make them attractive to men. Their credentials make them attractive to men. And for example, you have women who are now in their 50s and 60s saying that, men are not attracted. It's not a biological thing that men are attracted to younger women, women who are perceived as fertile. It's society that has done this, and men need to be changed by society and rewired by society, to undo this bias and misogyny against women. Okay, because men who desire young women women who are still fit, feminine, and friendly, these men are engaging in an act of misogyny. It's not about finding an attractive woman, it's about finding a woman whom you can sacrifice for. That is the narrative that's the narrative that we have as men. That's the narrative that women are putting out there right now, because because these are the same women who dated men when they were younger. They dated older men when they were younger because the young men don't have money, and now they're old and they cannot find, and now they don't want these same men to date younger women anymore because they don't have access to these men. They walk around with their college degrees, their master's degrees, and all of their achievements, from a career wise or academically wise, and they say, okay, look at me, I'm a great catch as a man, but at the same time I'm not going to be a man for you. It's crazy. This is how women think. All right, women think that men are supposed to want whatever women say they're supposed to want. Women think that men are supposed to operate the way women say men are supposed to operate. Basically, women want slaves, and these slaves have to ever be changing and adapting to their desires and whims. So it would be, guys, even artificial intelligence would have a problem with this, because it would continuously have to perceive and change its behavior based around the whims of the woman, and constantly trying to perceive what her whims are. It's a destructive and a form of narcissistic abuse, all right, that average men have been putting up with forever. Ultimately, you have women who are now much older saying that I have a master's degree, I have had this, I'm at the top of my professional career, but at the same time, don't expect me to contribute any money to the relationship. I'm not going to be someone's sugar mama, but I like men to be traditional in that way. They need to provide for me, they need to protect me. Whatever money I have is my money, and they're going to be the ones who have to provide in the relationship. But I'm open to being with a younger man too, but I do not think that it's appropriate for an older man to be with a younger woman. Guys, this is a level of hate, narcissism, gaslighting. Guys, there's no level of reasoning, no level of fairness in any of this. And why would any and they can't see it, guys. They don't care. They don't care. And other women are going to agree with them because this is the way that they think. And then when you basically say this is crazy, they're like, you're a man, all right? You're not a woman. What, you want to be a girl? You want to be a sissy? You're a man. You're supposed to do these things. This is how you're supposed to operate, okay? If women treat you poorly, you're a man. You're supposed to take it, okay? That's what men do. This is the way that they are hardwired. And then they know that men are being treated poorly. So, of course, they perceive our value as being lower than a cockroach. We are hated more than the cockroach in Western and Westernized societies.
This comment resonated with many single women, both domestically and abroad. Media interviewed her, and it turns out her surname is Lee, and she's actually only 36. She responded saying, "In 2 more years, I definitely won't be able to have kids. I've been on 5 blind dates, but none were suitable." As for why she lied about her age, many netizens believe she's using the topic of older single women to gain attention. Some think her actions may have been a marketing angle. "I'm a single woman born in 1988 with a master's degree from a top university. Recently, I've begun to feel like I might be able to accept dating someone who's divorced and has a child."
So, guys, that's another thing. When you see these women online, when you see these women on TikTok crying about how they're lonely and all of this crap, it's marketing. What they're doing is they are marketing. You see women who are, single and have children. Like, you have a bunch of these women popping up, and they're like, "Oh, men, they're regurgitating crap from the Passport Kings, or from the MGTOWs, or men walking away, or MRAs." The reality of the matter is, the reality of the matter is, y'all, is that these women are just trying to market. Like, you have these single mothers on social media that are like, "Oh, I agree with men and I agree with all of this crap." The reality is that they're just trying to market. They're trying to find a sip to say that they'll be in a relationship with the single mom and go wife up the single mom. That's really what it is. That's really what it is. It's a sad society, sad reality. All of these women, "Oh, I'm lonely. I'm lonely. I've never had a boyfriend." You've never had a boyfriend, but are you a virgin? And that's where you catch them. That's where you catch them. "I'm 30 years old and I've never had a boyfriend." Okay. So are you, so does that mean you've never been physically intimate with anyone? We can't just, I don't feel comfortable discussing that. What's your body count? I don't feel comfortable discussing that. That's, that, and you even asking that, that's patriarchy right there. You see, guys, give them just enough time and they will tell on themselves. It took me a long time to really understand how I am perceived by society, how men are perceived. Okay, we are simply hated. It's been like this for decades. We are hate. It's guys. It's been like this for over 100 years. It started. It started with the suffragettes. It started with the first wave feminists. And to make it clear, I don't blame feminism for anything that happened. It has been a history of women who have these feelings and ingrained misandry towards men and society, allowing this to foster and grow because the Sims who have very little value, have pretty much no value, are they Sims. You have to remember that the average Sim hates men. The Sims hate men. Sims who will not change hate men. They have their own agenda, and you'll notice it too. For example, if a woman comes out, when women come out and they start saying things along the lines of girls should not get involved with platforms like OnlyFools and OnlyFans because it's eventually going to destroy their lives. They should not be out there in the streets racking up large body counts. You should not be engaged in degenerate behavior that will ultimately leave them destitute. Sims immediately step in and begin attacking, shaming, and saying the most vitriolic things. And if they were to do this to any other woman, they'd be banned from the internet. Sometimes they'd be investigated. They may even end up in a lot of trouble. But because they are directing their hatred and scorn towards women who are saying that women should avoid this type of lifestyle and these types of behaviors, it is allowed because that's what the state wants to do. The state wants every woman on OnlyFools and OnlyFans. The state wants women to be. The state wants women to find themselves single so that they can use men to extract wealth and resource. They can extract wealth and resources from men and then reallocate it to the state. But now it's going to hell. Everything worked too well. The whole plan to demoralize and to divide, it worked way too well. And now the state is beginning to collapse because it was all about control. It was not about stopping people from having children entirely. It was not about completely stopping it, but this is where we're heading. It was not about completely stopping marriages and so forth. It was about control and reallocating wealth and resources from men to the state and using women to do this, who operate as agents of the state. It worked too well because now we're heading towards a period like the Roman Empire where men are walking away. So basically, men with alternatives, or they're going their own way, which is walking away, which is going their own way from society and relationships entirely. And that's putting the state in a position where no more tax revenue, no more labor, and I have idiots on my comments like, oh, we don't need human beings. We have robots and we have AI and all this crap. It's stupid. Oh, we don't need soldiers to fight. We have AI and we have robots, and the message is we do not need boots on the ground. Even when you have the Pentagon in the US saying we need boots on the ground, and not just to prepare for war, but because our military is about to break. You have these lunatics. I have them, guys. I'm telling you something. No matter it's unbelievable. I have to block these people almost on a daily basis because I can basically show you, I can read to you the statistical facts, and these idiots will pop up and say that it's not true. I can literally, like, you could have a lawyer, you could have a member of law enforcement telling you, you could have a member of the government, members of the government telling you what's happening, and you'll have idiots pop up and say it's not true. What? Bro, here are the facts right in front of you. Here, I mean, what else do you need? You have people who are, what are you? Are you on the left? You have people on the left telling you this. It's still not true. No matter what you say to them, they will never adapt to it because they are living in a state of endless copium. They will never accept reality. You could say there's a meteor headed to Earth, and you could see it from the sky, and you could point to it and say, there's a meteor. There it is. We can see it. We're not going to make it. And they will simply tell you it's not true. And you can say, don't you see the meteor right there? They'll tell you it's not going to happen. We're going to be just fine. it's a level of disconnection from reality. A lot of Gen Zers are engaging in this as well, where they are living in delusion, and it's a very scary thing. A lot of the Gen Zers have basically piled themselves into or gathered themselves up into a state of delusion where they deny reality around them, and they begin embracing delusion and mental illness, and it's a very very serious problem that we are seeing right now, where people can no longer not only use critical thinking, but they refuse to accept reality. They refuse to accept reality, and they do this for a variety of reasons. But in many cases, it's also because they're on copium, and that's why you have to have people like Uncle Angry. Like, even if you're not a mentally strong person, you have to figure that shit out. You have to figure it out and learn and develop the skill sets of how to work and how to deal with these things, because most of the people around you are so weak that they will fight to be weak. They will fight to remain weak, and they will fight to drag everyone down with them.
I used to think this was the last thing I'd compromise on, but now I've realized that loneliness is more terrifying than anything else. Lately, my world feels silent and empty, as if there's no sound at all, and it will always be this way. It feels like I'm afraid to make a sound because any noise would echo back and scare me. I don't know how long this loneliness will last. In early June, Rice Kernel posted a video revealing her true feelings. Although she appears strong and independent on the surface, deep down she harbors an inexplicable loneliness and feels melancholy about her fading youth. Most older single women have high education, high income, and high intelligence, and are attractive. However, their high standards in choosing a partner often leave them without an ideal match, turning them into what's called leftover women. Rice Kernel might be using the sensitive topic of leftover women to draw attention to this group, thereby increasing her exposure and influence. In this light, her actions can be seen as a brave stand and form of self-affirmation. I'm a bit sad now because I've suddenly realized that it's easy for older girls to have a car and a house, but finding love is really hard. Even though I don't want to accept it, I can't fight it. No matter how beautiful, educated, or nice you are, when you enter the dating market, you'll be held back by your age.
Here's the thing, guys. What they define as love is nonsense. It's a load of nonsense. It's never been love. You have to understand, when most couples historically got married, they were not getting married for love. The woman did not love you. The notion that, okay, well, you have all of these traits, so now she loves you. You have lots of money and you're very tall and all of this shit. Guys, that's not love. That's lust and desire. She was lusting after your possessions. She was lusting after traits that you may have, but she never actually loved you. All right. The men that she loves are Little Pancho. It's Chad, Tyrone. Okay. Sancho, Pancho's brother. Okay. Someone actually told me, so Pancho is actually short for San Francisco. Okay. So these are the men that she loves and desires. These men don't have to provide for her. These men don't have to protect her. She will take her money and provide for these men. She will steal money from another man and give it to these men. Okay? Those are the men that she actually loves. She can like the things that you can do for her. She can like the things things about you. She can like things that you have, but she will never actually like you as a person or love you. She's bored with you. She doesn't even, most of the time she resents you. For example, a lot of married women say that they cannot stand to even watch their husbands sleep. And they're like, I don't understand it, because my husband doesn't have any problem watching me sleep, but I can't stand watching him sleep. It just pisses me off. And that just illustrates how much this person hates you. If a person hates seeing you sleep, you're married to a person and they hate seeing you sleep, they're a danger to you. You have a lot of these stupid men. I'm going to call them stupid, because that are in relationships with people who do not like them, who absolutely hate them. And they're staying in these relationships because they're like, oh, well, it is what it is. And I understand that it may not be always easy to walk away. If you're with someone who hates to watch you sleep, you are in danger. And a lot of guys are like, ha ha ha. It's like they find solace in they think that they find solace in the suffering and the BS. But then when they lose everything, they want to come cry to Uncle Angry. And I'm like, don't cry to me, bro. You've been watching my videos for years. You're one of my trolls. You're one of the people that were denying the things that I'm saying, and now you're screwed. And you're in the streets, all right? It's cold out there, all right? You got crackheads walking around, all right? You got, because you're homeless now. You're broke. You're homeless. You're hungry. You don't really know what to do. There's always like TB outbreaks. Those, you got some of these really, really violent people. They get let out of prison. They don't have anywhere to go, so they're in the streets along with you. And you don't even know why they were in prison, but it was not for anything good. And you don't know, you're exactly where you belong, little bro. I hope you enjoy it out there. And it's like, you still have a job, but everything is being sucked out of your job, and between alimony and child support. Yeah, and it's just gonna be like that for a very long time. Some of y'all are screwed. Like, it's gonna be like, because some of these women have lifetime alimony on you. But that's how it is, little bro. Like guys, I look at some dudes right now who are even in their 70s, and they're still out here doing stupid things in their 70s. And then when at 71, you're going over to the Philippines and messing around, and then you find out, because you think that, oh, you're gonna find like your lady love, and then you screw up, and then like you mess around, you didn't know the laws over there, and now you're on the hook for for children that are not yours, and the Filipinos family, and she robbed like $20,000 from you, or stole your life savings, and you want to come back to Uncle Angry and cry. No, little bro, I might be 41, you might be 71, but you are the little bro right here. You're the little bro, and I'm not, I'm going to show you something. This is like tough love, even though I don't love you. All right. You really need to be held accountable for the stupidity that you've done. All right. You are 71 years old, and this is what you were out there doing. Okay. Listen, you need to learn you're going to have to learn your lesson. All right. But have to learn your lesson. And if it takes homelessness to learn your lesson, and and a lot of y'all aren't going to make it. A lot of you are not built for homelessness, because you've never missed a meal in your life, and it's going to be more than missing a meal. But you made very poor decisions, so you're going to have to be held accountable for those poor decisions. That's what I'm talking about, guys. A lot of these men, they messed around and they found out, and now I'm not crying for them.
Thought my hard work and effort would allow me to be with someone I love, but to my surprise, when I finally had a car and a house, as an older woman, I was just someone others would judge and weigh the pros and cons of. I felt like all my efforts in my younger years would have been better spent dating. I have a friend who dated a girlfriend 2 years older than him. He told me he was the picky one in the relationship, while she was very accommodating. Now he has a new girlfriend who is 5 or 6 years younger than him. When he showed me her picture, I was shocked. She smokes, drinks, and parties, which is very different from his previous standards. I asked him how he could accept this now. He said because she's younger, he's more tolerant of her. Hearing this, I cried. It made me feel so sad. In the video, the Douyin user named Tian Yao Yao is a gentle, understanding, and beautiful older woman. However, despite reaching the age of marriage and dating, she struggles to find a suitable partner. She observes that many men consider a woman's age as a crucial factor when choosing a partner. They tend to prefer younger women who are perceived as more fertile, while they hesitate or even become picky about women like her who are successful but older. I was born in 1991, so I'm 33 years old this year, a leftover woman. Not being married at this age makes me feel anxious. People always say that if you're still not married at this age, you must be too picky. If I had lowered my standards earlier, I would have been married by now. When I was 27 or 28, I also wanted to get married and even had the impulse to have a quick marriage. But then I thought if I made the wrong choice, I would fall into an abyss with no way out. The internet is filled with stories about women being abused, abandoned, or even pushed off cliffs. To be honest, I had a fear of marriage, similar to how men are afraid of gold diggers. But while gold diggers are after money, some men might be after your life. Despite this, I remain hopeful about life. I eat and drink well, work when I need to, and travel when I want to. Over time, I got used to being alone. But now, at 33, I never imagined I would reach this age without being married, and it feels quite hopeless. Sometimes I want to find someone, and sometimes I don't.
You see, guys, think about the burden that these people are going to put on society in 10 years. Okay? In 10 years, roughly for every one old person, you'll have less than 2.5 young people capable of working. I won't even say young people. People simply capable of working, laborers, okay? Which basically means people between the ages of 18 and 50 something years old. All right, people who have not reached retirement age yet. So you're gonna have a lot of people who are in their 40s and 50s, all right, in 10 years, and those are gonna be the young people in society, 40 and 50, because 18-year-olds, people younger than that, many of those are vanishing from society. And within 50 years, not 50, correction, not 50, come 2050, Come 2050, guys, it's going to be even worse than that, and it's basically going to be almost 1-for-1. So for every one old person, you'll have one young person. So China will be far below replacement levels. And when I say young person, I should even say young person, just because one laborer. So for every one person, for every one elderly person, you'll have one person who's capable of doing labor in the country. So that includes people who are in their 40s and 50s. This is crazy stuff, where the young people in your society will now be considered 50 years old. 50 will be a young person. I just have to shake my head. I just have to shake my damn head. And what's going to happen to all of these older people? Guys, like I said, this is 10 years. 10 years. In 10 years, it's going to be living hell in China. 10 years. And this is Western society as well. This is the United States. This is what's happening all around us. All right. In just 5 years, guys, 5 years, 5.5 years, come 2030, almost half of all women in the United States will be childless and single, women between the ages of 25 and 44. That's not counting single moms. When you factor those women in, you're ending up with 70 to 90% of all women in the US that are going to be single. All right? And men are walking away. Men have basically said that they're just going to relax. Men have decided that they're just going to go chill. They're not going to stress themselves out. They're not going to worry about this anymore. And not all men are good people. So women basically, they went on this narcissistic brigade of chastising men and treating men poorly. A lot of men have learned from them, and now they're going to integrate a lot of that same behavior. They're going to integrate a lot of that same behavior into their own ways. So men who are still willing to date and have relationships, a lot of these men are going to say, well, women laid the foundation for this. This is how women treat men, so it's okay if we do the same thing. And a lot of women are going to say, this is not even, how is this possible? But they normalize this kind of behavior and saying that you're a man, you're not supposed to behave like this. It's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. If you give a woman enough time, she will tell on herself.
People have started introducing me to divorced men with children or men in their 50s. This made me realize that men my age want young, beautiful girls and wouldn't consider me. So I'm left with either divorced men with children or much older men who aren't even successful. It makes me feel quite desperate. In China, there is indeed a belief that as women age, their value in the marriage market decreases, leading to anxiety about marriage among many women. This phenomenon is tied to traditional views and gender imbalances. Men often seek youth and beauty in a partner, while women look for economic stability and a partner who can guide them spiritually. As times change, women's views on choosing a partner are also evolving. They are beginning to enter the dating market, hoping to find the right person. However, the dating process is not as smooth as they imagined. They thought their high education and good jobs would be advantages, but reality has given them a harsh lesson. Are you dating?
You're a bit old.
I was born in 1991. Is that old?
1991 is a bit old.
How old are you?
Born in 1997.
I don't mind that you're younger.
Your annual income is a bit low.
I have a company, and I didn't mention because I didn't want to pressure you. I have 2 houses, all earned from my own business.
You're 158 centimeters tall. That's a bit short.
This woman, who goes by the online name Athena, is from Anhui and went to the famous matchmaking park in Hangzhou to find a partner. Her poster read, "Sincerely looking for a partner, female, born in 1991, master's degree, height 158 centimeters, weight 45 kilograms, owns property in Shanghai and Hangzhou."
You know what's very interesting? All of these women list master's degree as if it means something. As if that means that's going to make them more attractive to a man. It's sad, guys. It's sad. And then these same women are the ones demanding dowries. I have all of this money. I make all of this money. I blah 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 blah. But I'm not going to contribute any of it to the relationship. I want a traditional man. I'm not a traditional woman, but I want a traditional man that's going to provide for me and protect me. This is such a level of and there's nothing, guys. There's no going back for these women, because you have to understand that there's a seed that was planted inside of them. It's always been there. They're born with it, and it was given lots of sunlight, lots of water. It was allowed to take root, so the roots have spread throughout their entire bodies. There's no way to separate them from it. They can pretend to be something that they're not with the whole soft girl era thing. Yeah, soft girl era, basically women who want to live lives of simplicity, not simplicity, lives of luxury and comfort. Lives of luxury and comfort. And they're going to find, these are older women now who are going to find a man that's going to give, a wealthy man that's going to give them this, because they view us as basically idiots. Oh, gosh.
As an advertising company planner with an annual income of about 150,000 RMB. Athena also listed 4 criteria for her potential partner. Seeking a good person to build a life together. Requirements: 1. Bachelor's degree or above. 2. Owns property in Shanghai or Zhejiang. 3. Height above 175 centimeters. Willing to give a dowry of 50,000 RMB.
50,000. Unbelievable. RMB to USD. So yeah, so they're asking, so that's $7,000. So all of these older women who are are also asking for dowries, y'all. Dowries. And that's actually one of the lower. So guys, if she's demanding a dowry of $7,000, that's actually on the lower end for Chinese women. Many of them demand dowries between 80,000 and almost $1 million. Yet she's saying that she's a successful business owner and she's making all of this money. She's in a lot, guys. She's in a lot of debt right now. She's like, oh, I own property and blah blah blah. She's in a lot of debt. Hands down, she has a mortgage. She's in a lot of debt. She's looking for a man to basically just step in and bail and begin bailing her out immediately. Paying a debt, guys. This is not a normal thing for China. I just want you guys to know, this is completely abnormal. Men paying dowries to marry women and to marry a woman in China. That's a practice that existed in India. And in India, it was the woman's family that had to pay a dowry to the man's family for him actually taking on the woman and taking care of her. In China, you have older women who are now pushing 40 demanding dowries to marry them, even though they're the ones who are desperate to find a man. So these women are desperate to find men, and then the men also have to pay a dowry. And that just shows you how different a woman's brain works, where she's the one in need, she's the one desperate to find someone, and yet she's making a demand that they need to pay to be with her. Why would it's crazy. It's like you have a beat up old car, and you're desperate to find someone just to take it off your hands, but then you are absolutely desperate. You're desperate to find someone that'll just take this liability off your hands, but then at the same time you're demanding large amounts of money for them to take the liability off your hands. That's how they're operating. And the reason why women don't put 2 and 2 together is because they operate based on emotions and feelings, not based around facts. Okay? So they're not going to look at the facts of the situation and conclude that what they're doing makes absolutely no sense. Okay? They're only driving men away. Why would a man engage in something like this? They don't think like this. They think based on their feelings that this is what they want, so they're going to get it, even if it makes absolutely no sense. This is one of the reasons why traditionally it would be fathers or a family member that would go out and find a relationship find a husband for the woman in their family. Although at this point it would make no sense, because women don't even understand. They no longer care about being appealing to men. More so, they're fighting and arguing that men must simply accept whatever they give to them. So a man should value a woman based on her merits and all the things that she's done and achieved, but then at the same time also not expect anything from her in the relationship and and be traditional. So in other words, they need to be traditional men, but understand that she is not a traditional woman, and she will not bring anything into the relationship, and she will not give them anything in the relationship other than her presence, and even that will be limited in the relationship. It's crazy. It's crazy. They say that it's not appropriate for older men to date younger women, but they'll turn around in the exact same breath and discuss how many younger men that they date, and that they are open to the prospects of dating younger men, but these younger men better have value and better be able to provide for them. So it's okay for a 50-something-year-old woman to date a 27-year-old millionaire, but it's not okay for a 50-year-old millionaire to date a 27-year who's a man to date a 27-year-old woman. And these women will say, yes, that's exactly correct. And why is that? Because it has to do with power, and these men are creepy. So it's not creepy when a 50-year-old woman dates a 27-year-old millionaire. No, it's not, because obviously he's wealthy. So what if he's not a millionaire? It's still different, because patriarchy and blah 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 blah. Guys, this is, as you get older and you begin to understand women more and more, it encourages you. A lot of men basically say, I'm done. I'm just going to walk away. I'm just going to walk away. That's why so many guys, when they go overseas, they don't have long-term relationships. Basically, they just, they don't marry. They may date a little bit, but they're not having children. They're not getting into committed relationships. This is the future. It really is. You have a lot of simps who are like, oh, well, I'm happy, blah, blah, blah. No one cares what you think, simp. No one cares what you think, simp. It's so sad, guys, because it's like, I just want the Sims to go away, but the Sims have nowhere else to go. They've destroyed the society around them, and they have nowhere else to go. So they're littered throughout the manosphere. I mean, I would argue that half of the manosphere is Sims. I know you're going to say, what? Yeah, half of the manosphere is Sims, because there's still a lot of Sims in society, but these people have nowhere to go. They have nowhere to go. So where are they? They're right here. They destroyed society. They're continuing to destroy society. But because they have nowhere to go, they're here. They're here right along. They're right here with you in the manosphere. Okay? And they'll continue attacking, shaming, guilting, using sign language, shame, insults, guilt, gaslighting, nagging, because they need to be right. They are still agents of the state, but they have nowhere else to go because they've destroyed the society around them.
Sociable. She is often seen at the matchmaking corner of the park. However, her age frequently becomes an obstacle in the dating market. In the video, Athena said, "Everyone criticizes my age. Is it wrong for a woman to be older? Does being older mean I can't have any requirements? Everyone has the right to pursue love and be loved. Is it so hard to respect others' choices?"
Is it so hard to... So this is an older woman who's demanding almost $10,000 just to marry her. My God. This is, guys, Jesus help us. And the funny thing is that society cannot subsidize these women. China is broke. China cannot subsidize these women. All right? It absolutely cannot. And the more that money that China tries to steal from the men in the society, the more men walk away from society. The more men basically refuse to even use the currency. The more men disengage from the banking system. If you cannot trust the banking system, then you basically begin looking for alternative ways of preserving wealth. Yeah. You're like, oh, what are you going to do? Put it on your mattress? It's better to keep it under your mattress than to put it in a bank. Are the way that you use bank, are the kinds of banks that you use, guys, we're looking at a collapse. We're looking at massive economic collapses right now. Globally, these people are just holding, the state is just, holding things up and BSing all of us.
Also stated, "I'd rather die than settle. Don't keep advising me to lower my standards. I'm a woman with a master's degree, 2 houses, and 2 cars. I have an annual salary of 300,000 RMB, and I can start a business any time now. I see a bright future ahead of me. Why should I settle for a..."
She's like, I have all of this money, but yet you need to pay 10,000. I have 2 houses and a master's degree. This is an insane level of entitlement. Guys, they will stay on this hill forever. They will stay on this hill forever. They will never get down off this hill. And they will say, this is what I deserve. I told you. I keep on telling you the story. This guy went into the sewers. He was interviewing people who lived in the sewers. He found people down there who had previously worked on Wall Street. Normal people like me and you. And things happened in their lives and everything fell apart. And then he ran into a woman who was in the sewer. She looked like 50, in her 50s or 60s. And she was in her 50s. It was a hard 50. And he was like, why aren't you married? Why don't you have kids? And she's like, because I'm not going to settle. I know what I deserve. And he's like, Susan, you're living in the sewer. She's like, I'm not going to settle. And she's crying and screeching and hollering because she's refusing to settle for anything that's not 666. Any guy that's not a 666. makes above six figures, is at least 6 feet tall, and has a six-pack. All right? She knows her worth. She lives in the sewers. She's been living in the sewers for years. All right? And she knows her worth. Jesus help us. Guys, women, guys, you have to remember these people, they do not like us. When you say things like, guys, they start calling men who are 6'3" and 6'4" short kings. That's what, guys, they want you to, they're trying to humiliate you. They're basically letting you know how much they hate men and they don't actually want to be with them. And then you have simps who are jumping into relationships like, oh my gosh, I finally got the girl. Bro, you didn't finally, she's like, I had to go through many frogs to finally find my Prince Charming. Bro, you're an idiot. You're an idiot, okay? She had her fun in the streets, and now you were her last choice. All right, you were her last choice, and she's gonna use you to build her life off you. She has all these dudes in the background. She has dudes on her phone. She has dudes that she's messaging. For example, you're in a relationship. You guys getting married. You haven't been intimate in 1 year, and she has no interest in being with you. Yet she's still in shape, and she's still doing all these things, dude. She has all of these dudes that she's with. All right, she's just using you to keep a roof over her head and pay her bills, and she's building her life off you while she's out there with Chad and Tyrone having the time of her life like it's Dirty Dancing.
In every way, lowering my quality of life. If I can't find someone suitable, I won't get married. Is it unreasonable for me to look for someone who's 170 centimeters tall?
No, that's reasonable.
Is it unreasonable for me to look for someone with a bachelor's degree or higher from a similar university?
No, that's reasonable.
My annual salary is about 200 to 400,000 RMB. Is it unreasonable for me to look for someone with an annual salary of 300 to 4,000 RMB?
No, that's reasonable.
I was born in 1990. Is it unreasonable for me to look for someone born around 1990, plus or minus 3 years?
No, that's reasonable.
I have 300,000 RMB in savings. Is it unreasonable for me to ask for a dowry of 280,000 RMB?
No, that's reasonable.
If you meet these requirements, would you be willing to date someone like me?
I might consider it.
How could you?
I'd have to be out of my mind. Think about it. A man with an annual salary of 400,000 RMB, around 30 years old, who has a car and a house, and is willing to give a dowry of 280,000 RMB, and is handsome and over 170 centimeters tall. Wouldn't he look for an 18-year-old?
Yes, right. But it's also reasonable for him to look for someone like me.
If he can find an 18-year-old, why would he choose you?
Now, guys, do you know how much 280,000 RMB is? 280,000 RMB is almost 40,000 US dollars. So you have a woman who is pushing 40 years old, who is demanding that a man make tons of money. He has to make like 100,000, he has to make six figures. He has to give her 40,000 United States dollars to marry her, and he has to have at least a bachelor's or a master's degree. This is crazy, guys. This is insane. This is absolutely insane. And this is what women are demanding and saying that it's reasonable. And like this dude he was like, oh, it's reasonable, it's reasonable, it's reasonable. It'd be reasonable. And then he's like, yeah, it'd be reasonable if I'm delusional.
But I'm more accomplished than an 18-year-old.
In what way are you more accomplished? You're older and have more wrinkles, right?
That's enough. I don't want to hear anymore.
Your standards for a man are higher than hers. In what way are you better? Explain it clearly.
So these women have higher standards than your 18-year-old who's fit, feminine, and friendly, and they have crazy high standards, and they think that they should also be reasonably, they should also be competitive with an 18-year-old. All right, they should be viewed, guys. They come into the relationship with tons of debt, lots of liability, and making crazy demands. $40,000 to marry, $40,000 from the average Chinese man to marry a woman who is 40 years old or pushing 40. In many cases, she can no longer have children. And she has a high body count. She's had her heart broken many times. She's coming in with tons of trauma. She brings nothing of value to the relationship. She's saying that he has to be a 6'6" guy, make above six figures, be at least or close to 6 feet tall, and have a six-pack. All right? And he has to pay her tens of thousands. That's why I said, like, the woman who was like asking for a $10,000 dowry or in that range, that was actually low compared to most of these women who are asking for easily between $80,000 and $1 million in a dowry in China. where the average salary for the average Chinese man in China is like somewhere between like $20,000 and $30,000, and that's for a person who is highly educated in China. These people, these guys, their standards are insane. They're so high that even in America, men would be looking at them like cross-eyed. Are you what? Don't be surprised, guys. Do not be surprised when women in America start demanding dowries as well. As things get worse, don't be surprised when women in America and Western and other Western countries start doing what they're doing in China and demanding dowries as well, and spreading this notion to younger women that they can have everything and don't listen to all of these other women, because that's how social media works. All right. Like, guys, you have to be, that's why I say you need to hold on to some crypto. I have my cryptocurrency courses. I'm going to get the YouTube course out for you guys first. And then after we get the YouTube course out for you guys, then we're going to get the cryptocurrency course out for you so that you can start learning about crypto and building up get some hardware wallets, understand how crypto works and what cryptos you should be investing in. And I'm going to start, I'll be publishing my regular report on cryptocurrencies, which cryptos you should be investing in, because this is the crazy reality we live in right now. This is the crazy reality we live in right now. You have to understand that nothing lasts forever, okay? And society is insane. We live in this sick society where men are basically used for their value, but they don't even like us in the society. They just want to use us for whatever we have and then discard of us. Okay, you have to wake up and realize this is the position that we are in as men, and we have to adapt to it and adjust to it quickly and focus on self-preservation. That's why MWA is so important. MWA is about self-preservation of the individual. It is about self-preservation of the man. That's another reason why women absolutely do not like MWA, because it's men waking up to their value, to their worth, and to the fact that if we don't take care of ourselves, we'll be taken advantage of and used. The devil is running wild right now. The Jezebel spirit is ingrained in society. Both men and women are inhibited with the Jezebel spirit. And if men do not realize, if the men do not look at the example set forth in the Garden of Eden, regardless if you accept the story of the Garden of Eden, the story can teach you a lot, okay, about female nature, where women had everything that they wanted, and yet they still wanted more. Eve had everything that she wanted, and just the prospects of having the power of God, she had no idea what the power of God was. She had no idea what the consequences or the responsibilities that would come with this are. And she had everything she could want, everything she could desire, and yet she was still not happy. Yet she still wanted more. Even when women have everything, they still want more. They can never be happy with what they have. Okay? That's how it is for most women, and it's a warning. And what ended up happening? Adam ended up throwing away his salvation. He had not salvation. He still has salvation. He ended up throwing away his immortality. He ended up throwing away everything. This guy, think about this. He had everything he could ever want. All right. He had peace. There was no social media. It was warm weather all the time. God gave him a job. He was there to name. He was naming the animals. His psychological state was good. He was chilling. He had everything he could want, and God never abandoned him. He had this huckster actually was in direct contact with God. It wasn't like, okay, we get on our knees and we pray to God. No, this joker was literally having conversations with the creator of all. Okay? And what did this joker do? He threw it all away for a woman who lied to him. I want you guys to think about this very carefully. Eve ate the fruit, and after she ate the fruit, the Bible kind of alludes, like it says that the fall of man did not happen until Adam ate the fruit. So there's something very strange going on here, because we know that God does not lie. So God said that if you eat the fruits, you will pass away. He did not say if both of you eat the fruit, then this will happen. If you look at things literal, it would strongly suggest that after Eve ate the fruit, she became well aware that the serpent had lied to her. And what were her instincts? She then went to man and she told Adam that if you eat the fruit, then we will be like gods. This is a very strange occurrence. Why would she say, if you do it, then we will be like gods? Wouldn't she say, I ate the fruit and now I am like a god? She said to him, if you eat it, now we will both be like gods. That made no sense. God cannot lie. God did not say, oh, well, if both Adam and Eve eat it. They said that the fall of man did not occur until Adam ate the fruit also. But again, things do not align. All right. Does that mean that Eve would have been just fine if Adam never ate it? So that means that God that she was excused from the consequences of eating the fruit. This is guys. So yeah, so basically men are the only ones who will face consequences, but women will not. And this is guys, this doesn't add up. The reality is that, and if you use logic, it would suggest Eve became fully aware of the consequences of eating the fruit and then decided to drag Adam down with her, take him down with her. And his desire for the woman and the fear of being alone led him to engage in this and to betray God and then to attempt to lie to God, which is an impossible thing to do. I don't know, guys. I'm telling you, you have to be aware. You have to be very, very aware of the world that we are in right now and the things that are happening around us, because it's not going to get any better. And that's why you have to wake up to it. That's why you have to wake up to all of this. By the way, guys, and guys, where this is headed is you're going to have lots of women who are going to be in poverty, destitution, despair, and living in extraordinary hardships as more men walk away from society over the next 5 to 10 years. And we're going to see this happening increasingly around us. Don't forget, guys, that we have the Angry Guy Clubhouse. It's an incredible place. Go check out the Clubhouse. We have podcasts, chats, extended videos, guides to help you get started, to help you build your brand up. We have articles that I write. We put out new articles every day. One of our newest articles, Modern Women Are Pissed, the real reason men are walking away from dating. We have guides for you that are going to teach you how to stack that cash, how to build up a business, how to build a brand. If we head over to the guide section, we have guides like how to build a thriving business empire and have fun doing it. But then we also have things related directly to the manosphere, like I said, like did feminism fail women, the unexpected backlash and blame game. You're going to learn how to build your business, learn your brand. There's something for everyone. You can also get in touch with me. You can reach out to me via chat, talk to me, talk to others via chat. This is an incredible thing. Angry Guys Clubhouse. There's a link to it in the description of the video. Go check it out. Subscribe to it. Enjoy the content over there. And on top of that, when you join the Clubhouse, you also get access to a free digital nomad blueprint. That's something that you guys are going to want as things are going downhill, continuing to get worse. So you can head over to the Clubhouse. It's linked in the description of the video, guys. What do you think regarding all of this right now, guys? What do you think regarding everything that's happening around us? Men are being arrested for remaining single. Let me know your thoughts. We'll talk about it in the comments. Like the video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you like the video, share the video. And just remember that all roads lead to MWA, men walking away, and share.